feels so good.
In this episode we continue to discover lesser known places on Gari. We'll explore an old airport with its hangar, some little known old deep water wharfs, and tackle what might be the hardest hill climb on Fraser Island. We'll also witness police conducting compliance checks. That's a new one. We also visit once more Postans Logging Camp. Plus I share my top 3 LED lights for camping with you. So settle in and enjoy the video. I found this old track here that I think goes to an old pier from memory. I've driven there once before, so I'm gonna have a look. That is certainly the least driven track here, I shall say. At least on Fraser I've driven here. But let's see where that ends. Probably again a lot of sand flies. You never know if you never go. We're driving pretty much in the mangroves, in the swamp here, on a road built for logging on logs. So that's old logs underneath, and then I guess I put sand on top, and that goes out into the mangroves here to a water course where they then had a wharf and could load the logs. Puthoo Creek on Fraser Island or Gari has an interesting history tied to the island's logging operations in the early 20th century. This area played a crucial role in the timber industry, which was a major economic activity for over a century. A significant piece of infrastructure at Puthoo Creek was a long jetty constructed to facilitate the loading of logs onto ships. This jetty extended into deep water, allowing larger vessels to dock and collect timber harvested from the island's forest. To transport logs from the inland forest to the coast, a network of tramways was established, connecting logging areas to Puthoo Creek. These tram lines were essential for moving timber efficiently across the island's challenging terrain. In fact, we drove into Puthoo Creek along what used to be one of these old tramway terraces. Logging on Fraser Island began in 1863, and by the end of the early 1900s it was well established. In 1905 a new light rail line was constructed to extract timber from the island's interior. The 1930s saw extensive use of tram lines to move logs to loading points like Puthoo Creek. However, by late 1991, logging on Fraser Island ceased as part of a broader shift towards conservation. In 1992, Fraser Island was listed as a World Heritage Area. Today, Puthoo Creek is beautiful, but not frequently visited. The one-way trek in is very overgrown and quite rough, with no chance to pass another car. Additionally, the concentration of sandflies and mosquitoes is crazy. Probably a reason why not many people make their way there. Still, it is an interesting piece of Fraser's history. As you can see here, that would have been a big wharf. And the sandflies and mozzies are nuts here. Look at this. That all would have been an old pier. You can see here. See the logs here. Just pull back in next to me there. At some stage it becomes a Y intersection which goes to two different wharfs. One is southwest and one is northwest. This one is a southwest one. See, and here you see how that was all built. Logs, earth on top. And at high tide that would have been another wharf here. All the track logs from this trip are available to my Patreon supporters upon request. If you're interested in these track logs, please join me on Patreon and support the channel, and I will provide you the track logs. Today really is an inland trek day with a heavy gale force wind. Yeah, inland is the nicest at present. Yeah, so we now inland taking the path less traveled, and I think we're loosely making our way to Postans Logging Camp now, so we shall see. I lost all my track logs from that trip, so I don't have the exact coordinates anymore, so I hope I'm gonna find it. It's been a few years since I've been there last. So the old airstrip here, I've never been here before. That certainly would be good camping in adverse weather. Inland, nice. Look at this, even a roof. Yeah, not a bad little spot here. I can't believe that I'm still finding new stuff on Fraser. I thought I've seen it all, but we found an old airstrip, and now here's a trek up to a fairly big hill. So gonna have a look where that ends. Should be interesting. It actually looks pretty steep. May have to go in low range. We decided to follow the trek up the hill, which seemed to lead to an old telegraph tower. My map showed it continuing on to another main trek. However, as we drove up the hill, the sand became softer and softer, so I asked Carrie to hold on and let me try first. It was evident that others had tried and gotten stuck about halfway up. I noticed deep holes where people must have spun their wheels. I had set a fairly slow pace, as I didn't anticipate the difficulties and thought I could crawl it. But when my momentum first stopped, I reversed back a little, engaged my lockers, and that got me a fair bit further. However, around 100 meters from the top, the sand was like dust and very deep. With deep holes there, I couldn't really get any further. The footage doesn't really portray it, but that is by far the steepest hill anywhere on Fraser I have seen. I also couldn't take a good run up because of the many cross-axle wombat holes. If we had needed to continue, I could have lowered tire pressure and driven with more speed, but there was no need to, so I just reversed back. However, before we left, Carrie wanted to see whether he could get any further. The areas where I got stuck and now where Carrie is stuck suddenly have holes of super soft sand, almost like bull dust. Carrie's vehicle doesn't have long travel suspension and has smaller tires compared to mine. Despite these limitations, he managed to make it to the point where I first got stuck. He now reverses back and tries to get a run up for a second go. It's a testament to how challenging this particular section is, with its steep incline and unpredictable sand conditions. The sudden changes in sand consistency, from relative firm to extremely soft, make this trek particularly tricky. This is a lot more wheel spin than we like to see, but it was evident now that this isn't a trek often traveled. I dare to say that no stock vehicle would get up this trek in its current condition. So Carrie also pulled the plug here and reversed back down. Let me know in the comment section if you know whether that trek comes out on the other side and whether you made it up to the old tower. Well, on our way to Postans Logging Camp. It's a perfectly fine driving trek, but there's a gate, which in this case is probably actually good, so that not that many people go there and collect shit, because that way you would have to carry quite a bit. Yeah, because as always, watch and look and leave everything as it is so that others can enjoy it as well. Postans Old Logging Camp on Fraser Island, or Gari, is a fascinating remnant of the island's industrial past. Operating from 1935 until the close of logging in 1991, these camps served as a crucial base for logging contractors who worked tirelessly to harvest the island's valuable timber resources. As you explore the area, you find tangible links to the bygone era. Rust and machinery stands as silent sentinels to the hard work that once took place here. Old sheds and abandoned houses, now slowly being reclaimed by nature, offer poignant reminders of the lives lived and the community that once thrived in these remote locations. The camp's history spans over 5 decades, witnessing significant changes in logging practices and technology. It's a testament to the resilience of the workers who called this place home, often for months at a time, separated from their families on the mainland. That's the old washing machine. Someone's kitchen. That's one of the few wooden structures, or at least wooden cladding. Probably a bedroom for some of the workers. Basin, bed frame, and still an old mattress. I wonder what he did to twist that axle here. Look at that housing. That is big. Postans bus, that has collapsed a bit more. Pity. I think that was kind of like the living quarters from memory. When they drove around the island and had to stay somewhere. See there's a stove over there or a pipe. Today, Postans Camp stands as a significant part of Gary's logging heritage. It provides a unique opportunity for visitors to step back in time and imagine the bustling activity that once characterized this now quiet corner of the island. Guys, Postans Logging Camp, can only recommend it. 2 kilometers walk in. If you're one of my Patreon supporters, I gonna have all the track logs up there, including waypoints, because areas like this, we don't want to publicize too much. I mean, if you're really keen and you want to find out, I'm sure you find the location. And yeah, if I share it with my Patreon supporters, it's not that many people. But it's definitely worth the walk up here if you are on Fraser or Gary or however you want to call it. Carrie is our defender with the dingo stick. Mind you, here inland it's not that bad really. But still better have him, not need him, then need him, don't have him. And Carrie, you reckon worthwhile coming out here?
Yeah, fantastic. Bit of history.
Yes, sir. That would have been alive here.
Would have been hard work, I reckon.
And now we're hitting the Valley of the Giants, where still are some of the very old grown trees are alive, where they haven't been logged, and yeah, some pretty big trees. It's quite cool. When entering the Valley of the Giants loop track clockwise, we noticed a fallen tree which prevented us from going through. If we'd gone the other way around, this would have been right at the end of our journey. So we spent some time removing the tree, with Carrie doing most of the sawing, as I was quite handicapped with my broken rib. During this I found an interesting blaze on a tree. If anyone knows what it is about, please let me know in the comment section. Of the very old massive trees here, the majority of them fell victim to logging, but here in that area there are still some of them around. It's a pretty scenic drive. I mean, look at this big bugger. What a monster of a tree. As it was getting late, we didn't have much time to explore the loop and made our way back to the coast to find a wind-sheltered camp for the night. We found a small, tucked-away campsite behind the dunes, as sheltered as it could be. Got ourselves a pretty good spot. It is very windy, so it's a little bit set back from the beach. Beach is down there. And well, got that all to ourselves. Gotta have my stretcher there. Now, pretty happy with that, I think. And yeah, my rib is really killing me, so I'm looking forward to sleep tonight. Well guys, another morning here on Fraser. because the wind around us is howling. There are quite some strong gusts. The moment has quieted down a little bit, but it's blowing a gale up to 60 kilometers. And yeah, I decided to pull the pin and we leave today because my ribs are not getting better, and that driving on the inland tracks, that bumping around and so on, constantly turning and moving, it doesn't help it. So we had some good 10 days, and yeah, heading off the island sadly today. Yeah guys, another thing I wanted to share with you are my 3 most favorite camp lights. Number 1 is that All Lantern Classic, which I have now, I would say, for well over a year. It has been used quite a bit. Very solid construction, and I mean, LED lights, there are thousands out there, but what I really like here is it has this yellow filament, while you can't see here, and this yellow is so much more pleasing on the eye. To be honest, I hate white light around camps. If I have everywhere camps around me with these bright white LED lights, I think it's horrible. I like the campfire and the more yellow light, so really like that. You can also have it white if you need some more light, and it's kind of the copper look, very big battery in here. You can also charge your telephone or whatever from it. Again, I use that also in my studio as a background light for over a year. Really love it. It's an All-Light Lantern, All-Light Classic 2 Pro, and highly recommended. I think I have it in my Amazon store if you want to buy one. They're not cheap though, 140 bucks. So then I also saw these kind of lights advertised, and I purchased 2 to test them out, and I'm pleasantly surprised. I really love them, and we use them on this trip nearly every day. What makes it special, and something I didn't really consider, they have a foot here, which is magnetic, so it sticks, and then you can pull the light out. And I did not realize what a difference the position of the light really makes, say for cooking and so on. So if you switch this light on, have it on the table where you cook, you get the light from the top, and look here, you can move that in different angles. You can actually also use these as a very subtle light. So let me switch it on, and probably hard to see now, but this way it's just very dim light, would be good as a night light. But if you pull it out, and it makes all the difference having that light higher up on top of your cooking, for example, because all of a sudden you can properly see, you don't need your headlight. Really like it, and you have quite a few features here, so let's get that a little bit in. So we have the yellow here, and then if I keep the button pushed, it will change color to white, and in between back to yellow. And then if I push it once, it's getting brighter and twice as off. So again, low, high volume, and off. Yeah, absolutely love it, especially for filming and so on. 2 of them with a yellow light. This is another one. It's a little bit smaller battery, similar principle. It doesn't extend that high, so I like these better because it extends higher. Overall, it's a little bit smaller. Here you have 3 buttons. Switch that on. I think you have to hold a bit longer, so that's the yellow. And then you have here the plus and a minus button, so to turn that up. And here is the mode button. So now we have a red blinking. It's not that consistent how it works. So you have a few different disco modes here. But again, you know, I'm changing through the modes. The consistency is not really there, but I usually only use the yellow. So that's the main thing I use, and then you obviously can press it once more. You have it white, yellow and white, so you have a few more options here. Yellow only white, and then here you can make it stronger or weaker, dial it down. Yeah, just a beautiful light, and because you can extend it, and this one obviously has also feet. This is a bit more cumbersome. You can have it standing next to you, you can then angle it. I just love it. Brilliant, brilliant lights. So if you see them advertised, they're not that cheap, but I recommend them. On the way to Europe and then on the boat, called the shots a little bit earlier because of the rib, which I think I cracked, or yeah, I don't know what it is, but it's 5 days now. It's getting worse, the driving, especially the inland driving with all the bumps and steering, constantly moving, packing in and out tent. It's not really that helpful for getting that better and healed. So yeah, we decided to head home a day earlier and make our way towards the barge now. But it has been an awesome trip. It was great to catch up with Scotty from Southern Sky Images, and yeah, it was just good fun overall. Carrie is a good sport. That was yeah, very relaxed with him. And now back to the normal stuff, back to DCS issues. Keep in mind, guys, for my Patreon supporters, I will make all the track logs available, and also will have the video series in 4K. So yeah, if you want to support me, if you like the videos I do, if you want to support content creation, please consider joining me on Patreon, because the videos itself doesn't even cover the fuel for one of these trips. So yeah, any help there would be greatly appreciated. Driving out from Inskip Beach, we are watching a big pickup truck towing a double-axle caravan getting stuck on Inskip Point. The culprit? Way too high tire pressure. Look, everyone can make mistakes, but if you're towing a big caravan like this onto a sand island, you'd think someone would do basic research on the correct tire pressure. With all the online resources available nowadays, there's really no excuse not to. These poor guys spent over 20 minutes getting his rig out. It's a stark reminder of how a little preparation can save you a lot of hassle. He only managed to drive out after he finally followed my advice to air down more. So always check your tire pressure before hitting the sand. And if you're new to sand driving, just check out my sand driving video, because that will help you to avoid situations like this. And if you're wondering, I have the JMac PEM tire inflator now, I think for 6 years, and I still love it and use it on every trip. As soon as I put the rear back on, and you see here 40 psi already in the front. As soon as I put the rear on, the second rear, it will take that as a new pressure, which is brilliant. On our way home now. Interesting to see was that the cops now do vehicle inspections there, not just RBTs, but engineering inspections, it seems like. Scotty actually told me that they all got pulled over, and he was there with Isuzu, and they complained about his Recaro mount for the seat. And when we left the island, the coppers had someone pulled over with the bonnet open and so on, and seemed like doing a full inspection there. Scotty only got a warning, because if you have aftermarket seats, like I have my driver's side here, the base and everything that needs to be engineered, which I have, But just something to keep in mind, you can't just replace your seats without engineering. First stop when we leave Fraser Island is always Rainbow Beach car wash. Get a good double underbody wash and an outside wash and get as much as possible of that salt off. Especially as this time I didn't give myself the lanolin treatment for under the car. So guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please keep in mind this is a self-funded channel, so I would greatly appreciate if you could help me out by sharing, liking and subscribing. And if you can, please consider head over to Patreon or buy me a coffee, and with the equivalent of a cup of coffee or two per month, you can really help me making these videos. Thanks a lot for watching and see you along the tracks.